Hi, good evening. This is Sir Hassan Dosani. Welcome to the fifth and the last day of our Practice to Pass session on SBL for September 2020. I hope you guys are doing well. As usual, let's wait for 60 more seconds for our friends to join in and then we will kick off. Right, so the handout for day 5 was not distributed earlier because I had to update it with certain things. So now the handout is available on the GoToWebinar platform, as well as I have shared it on the WhatsApp groups. Okay, so those of you who are joining today's webinar for the first time, you can ask questions by typing your questions under the question box option on your GoToWebinar, and then you can also save my WhatsApp number. Send me a message and I will add you to my global WhatsApp group, where you can always ask questions if I'm unable to answer your questions during the webinar. Right, so as I had mentioned earlier, today's webinar is very important because there will be some key takeaways for you guys on the next 3 weeks. Okay, so we'll go step by step. So today's plan. So today's exam technique is the most commonly asked question: should we answer questions in sequence? So do you guys have this question in mind or not? Just I am checking my hi, can some of you write some comments whether you can hear me clearly? Just type yes. Okay, all right, because my question box looked like it was hanging a bit. Perfect, perfect. Yes. All right. Excellent. So after we will discuss this exam technique, we will do ratio analysis, budgets, and MIS. That's the topic for today. And we will do a question on that. Then, most important, we will do the 2 technical articles which were published a couple of months back, I believe. That's an important bit. After that, we will talk about some pitfalls of CBE software or some risks associated with the CBE software which you should be aware of. And then I will recap all the important discussions we had during the last 5 days. We will talk about exam techniques, we will talk about professional marks, we will talk about formats, a very quick recap. And then I will share with you a list of important topics and models which you should focus on, followed by a list of practice practice questions, and then lastly, the study approach from now onwards. Okay, as far as the format is concerned, we will be covering presentation slide, which we were unable to cover in our first 4 webinars. Okay. Okay, so there's a question, where can we access, hang on, where can we access all the 5 recorded lectures? So I will share, if you are a member of my WhatsApp group, I will share the 5 webinar videos, the 5 handouts, and all the PDF files of the answers which we have solved. I will share all of them in one go in the WhatsApp group. So make sure that you are part of the WhatsApp group. I will be able to share them on Sunday evening because the recorded versions, they come in around after 24 hours. Right. So today's exam technique is technique number 5. Should we answer questions in sequence? So the simple technique is we need to follow the sequence in the first 3 hours. Okay. So the first 3 hours, we will strictly follow the sequence. Now this is applicable for both CBE students as well as manual paper students, correct? However, it is my suggestion that in the last hour, when exactly 60 minutes is left, you must stop writing wherever you are. You must stop writing, and then you need to decide the sequence. Okay, and how will you decide? You will first see which questions are still pending. Okay, so you will see whether 1 task is pending or 2 tasks is pending or 3 tasks is pending. It all depends on your initial time management. You will look at the topics of those tasks and, more importantly, the marks of those tasks. And then you will decide which question is more easy and high scoring in your own opinion. Then you will do that question, all right? And you will skip those which you feel are difficult. So in last hour, you are free to change the sequence, because you should just be, choose that question which you think is easier. Even though if it's the last question, then you disturb the sequence, no problem. I can assure you that there is no negative marking on the by not following the sequence. The examiner always mentions in his comments that he really wants the students to follow the sequence. However, there is no negative marking if you don't follow the sequence. So in the last 1 hour, you need to be cunning, you need to be smart, because at the end of the day, you need to pass the paper, not the examiner, correct? So if you follow my technique, this technique of deciding in last 1 hour, what will happen? So in the end, whichever question was unfinished was actually the question which you didn't knew how to answer. So did you understand that? So in the end, for example, if you run short of time because of poor time management, you will not miss the last question. Sequentially, you will actually miss that particular question which actually you didn't really knew anything about. So that is smart thinking, that you are just skipping that question which you had no clue, rather than attempting a dangerous question where you don't have any clue, and in the end you are left with no time for a question which you had absolutely lots of idea how to do it. Okay, so So that's the technique. Last 60 minutes, you stop, you take a stock of things, you decide which is easy, low hanging fruit in your opinion, go for that question, and then attempt the rest of the questions. Okay. Do I have any questions? Let me. Mohammed Saim is saying, can we leave some space and move on? I mean, I'm assuming that you're talking about a manual paper. No, no, please don't leave any space, okay? Because some space means that you will need to leave like at least 1.5 to 2 pages. That's not some space. That's like couple of pages. So please don't do that. Don't leave any space. Just properly number the question and move on. I'm getting lots of questions on how to join the WhatsApp group. Please WhatsApp me. My WhatsApp number is in the start of the thing on the slide. Please WhatsApp me and I will add you to my group. It's a closed group, so I personally add people. First 2 hours, 1 hour for reading, and then last hour. Yeah, Karen. By first 3 hours, I mean the first 1 hour of reading and 2 hours of drafting. So in total, the first 3 hours, you just follow with the sequence of the paper, but just when the last 60 minutes are remaining, then you change the sequence. Mr. Mohammed Saim is asking, doesn't incomplete answer, sorry, this is Naila. Doesn't incomplete answer give a bad impression to the examiner? So, Miss Naila, what choice do you have? So, I give you two options, okay? So, either the questions are a little bit incomplete towards the end, versus all questions complete, but last question of 15 to 18 marks not attempted at all, which is a lesser evil. And I think I spoke about this yesterday. So it is perfectly all right that all your questions are little bit incomplete. I would prefer that, because this makes sure that you have attempted all the questions, rather than you completing all the questions and in the end you completely missing a full question of 15 to 18 marks. That would be a disaster. Okay, so rather than out of 5 you attempting 4 and missing 1, I would prefer that you attempt all the questions with all of them left a little bit, or most of them left a little bit towards the end. If we didn't answer the question, do we get marks for doing the format? No, Huda, not at all. This is not a departmental store with, some discount scheme going on. Just imagine you are sending to the board of directors a blank format with nothing in it. Come on. So why not start with the ones we know itself? Tinkle, a very intelligent question. So Tinkle is asking, so why not start with the ones we know? I would really love that, but unfortunately, you know what? The examiner is very touchy about the sequence, very emotional about the sequence. He hates when students mess with the sequence, because if you read his comments, you can gather that he's very, very emotional when students don't follow the sequence, although there is no compulsion. So I don't want to really mess with the examiner for the first 3 hours, but in the last 1 hour, it is me who has to pass, not him. So in the last 1 hour, I would take a little bit of liberty and change the sequence, okay? Can we answer example part C, B, A in that order for a question? No, Elizabeth, may not look good. So just follow the sequence for the first 3 hours. Don't mess with anything. So if we skip any question, then is it possible to pass the exam? No, it's very difficult. Yes. Can you spend more time on professional marks today? Yes, I will cover that in my recap. I will cover the exam. Everything I will do a recap now. Please, I'm very clear. Don't ask questions round and round and round. Please follow the sequence for the first 3 hours. Even if you don't know the question, please follow the sequence, okay? Not following the sequence means losing professional marks. Not at all. You will not lose professional marks if you're not following the sequence. And for God's sake, you are following the sequence for the first 3 hours. It's just the last hour where you are just changing the sequence of the last couple of questions. So you will not lose professional marks. There is nothing on this, okay? Yes, everything is sequence. Sir, we wrote 5 points, but we actually need 9. Would we get marks for what we have written? Obviously, what kind of question is that? You will get marks based on 5 points. All right, so let's move on. Now I'm getting questions which have already been answered earlier or in the previous webinars, mainly because some students have joined for the first time today. So you can watch the previous webinars and you will get all the answers to your question. Right, so today's topic is ratios. So whenever you are in the exam, you might be given a P&L and a balance sheet. Okay. So normally there are 2 types of information. Either you are given a financial projection, or you are given a P&L and a balance sheet, or you might be given a MIS. So we spoke about financial projections on the first day. I had given a checklist of 5 items. Remember, it has to be discounted cash flows and payback and look at the assumptions and tax implications and sensitivity analysis. That was covered on our day 1 of the webinar. Today we will talk about P&L and balance sheet, and then after that we'll talk about MIS. Okay. So if hang on. So if a P&L and a balance sheet is given in any of the exhibits, you are by default expected to analyze the financial statements and give a commentary. So in SBL, what's important is commentary. Okay. So again, keep in mind that you are a CFO and you need to draft a commentary explaining the P&L and the balance sheet variances, explaining it to the board of directors, to the chairman, to the CEO, and most of them are non-financial people. So you need to draft some basic stuff and in very basic languages so that you're able to explain nicely. Okay, so in order to simplify your life, whenever you see a P&L and a balance sheet, first of all, on the P&L, you need to just calculate these 4 things. Okay, nothing more, nothing less. So the first and foremost, you will need to look at the sales trend. It is also called top line or sales. Sales, as you know, is the lifeline of any business. So for example, if your data is given, let's say, just a second, let me clear some space. So if the data is given 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. So let's say 4 years data is given. Okay. So in the exam, you don't really have the time to calculate year-on-year movement. So what you should do is just take the first year given and compare it with the latest year, so that you can, just save time and give a big picture about the sales trend. I think we did a question something similar to this yesterday or day before yesterday, when multi-year data was given. In the integrated reporting questions, we just compared the first year and the last year, for the sake of time. So sales trend is very, very important. After that, you will look at gross profit margin. You will calculate the percentage, of this year, and you will look at the gross profit margin percentage of this year, and you need to make a 1-2-liner comment. Similarly, you will look at the net profit margin, and at the end you will need to calculate gross. Okay. Look at this one. Please do not ask me again and again, right? I'm telling you guys very loud and clear, no need to show your calculations. Why? Simply because, will you show calculations to the board of directors? No, right? They are just interested on a commentary on P&L. So I need you to write one para on P&L. One para explaining these 4 ratios on the P&L, okay? After that, you move to balance sheet. And again, I don't want complicated. I don't want you guys to show off. Okay, this is not a financial ratio calculation paper. So if you want to show off on your commentary skills. Don't show off on your calculation skills. Okay, you just calculate current asset ratio from the balance sheet. You just calculate gearing. And if you think you have time, you are not running short of time, then you cover interest cover. Otherwise, don't even bother about it. Just these 2 ratios, current asset ratio and gearing. Okay, and then you write a 1 paragraph on balance sheet commentary covering these 2 ratios. And lastly, if you think you have time, again, let me write optional here. You can calculate revenue per employees. The reason I have put this here is because if you calculate revenue per employee, it will impress the examiner in the sense that he will think that you are not only an accountant, you do have a business acumen, because the board of directors, they also look at non-financial indicators or efficiency ratios, right? There are other things, other than P&L and balance sheet in the world as well, right? So this is what you need to do, short and sweet, 1 paragraph on P&L, 1 paragraph on balance sheet, couple of lines on revenue per employees. Try to link high level with the case. Just showing variances is not enough. If the sales is going down, you need to mention why it's going down, and 100% I'm sure a reason would be mentioned somewhere in the exhibits. Then you need to mention the reason if the GP margin is going down, and the most common reason why GP margin is going down is because the cost of sales are not reducing in line with the reduction in revenues. So if you don't find any specific reason, then you can just give a generic reason. And the most common reason why net profit margin goes down is A, because the GP margin is going down. That has a direct impact on net profit margin. Plus, you might notice that finance costs or some overheads might be increasing as well. So you just need to mention that. On the ROS, it will go down if your net profit margin is going down. Plus, if your net equity is going up or your debts are going up, then ROS will deteriorate as well. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all these details. I'm expecting that you know all the basic about financial ratios. Again, I would like to repeat. Okay, let me take some questions. What kind of Mohammed Shamil? Please, I'm warning you. Do not repeat your questions the way you have typed. Okay, do not flood my question box because there are other students who are trying to ask questions as well. Please. I just explained what kind of comment we made in ROS. Okay, I just explained that ROS will decline if your net profit is going down, and it will further decline if your debts, long-term debts, are going up. How to interpret a revenue per employee? If the revenue per employee is increasing or improving, that's a good sign that with less number of employees you are able to generate more revenues. That's more of efficiency. But if the revenue per employee is decreasing, that means it's bad because your revenues are going down but you are not able to reduce your number of employees. Amit, please don't ask questions twice, and this has been answered many times in the previous webinar. Do we always compare first year and last year, Zafar? In the exam, yes, because of time limitations. Just imagine you are calculating year on year on year on year for 10 marks. Balance sheet, P&L, efficiency, you will screw up your timing. Okay, I answered on the revenue per employee. Bina, gross profit margin goes down because your cost of sales are not reducing in line with the reduction in revenues. Okay, right. Now, very important, budgets and MIS. And we will do a question on this. Okay. So whenever you get a question on budget or MIS, you all need to remember three things. Okay, make sure that you remember to look for three things. That's the way when I told you that whenever you see a question on financial projections, you need to check 5 things, right? The first webinar I had taught you the 5 things. Similarly for budgets and MIS, whenever you get something on the budget or MIS topic, immediately recall these 3 things. First of all, recall the concept of master budget. Then you recall the concept of flex budget, and then comparison of actuals. Okay, so first let me explain what these are, and then I will tell you how to apply this in the exam. So what is a master budget? Basically, a master budget is a budgeted P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow statement of the organization. So a master budget is a full set of budgets, like the forecasted P&L for the entire year, and we make it at the start of the financial year, the forecasted P&L, the forecasted balance sheet, the forecasted cash flow. So all together they are called collectively as master budget. What is the starting point of any budget? When we start preparing a budget, do you know what is the first budget we prepare? When we make a budget, what is the first thing we prepare? Not annual budget, yeah. Which budget should we? What is the starting point of a budget? Correct, sales budget. Very nice. Okay, Sharik is asking, MIS stands for Management Information Systems. Okay. Ria, you are saying production budget? No. First, the starting point is a sales budget. The organization, they need to first forecast or plan how much units they're gonna sell next year, what would be the standard or budgeted selling price of the units, and they come up with the revenue budget. Once the sales or the revenue budget is firmed up, based on that, the production guy will plan his production budget. He would now know, in order to sell 1,000 cars, how much cars he needs to manufacture, keeping in mind the opening inventories and closing inventory requirements and all those things. You see, so based on sales, you may come to production budget. Based on production budget, you will make your inventory and procurement budgets. Similarly, all other departments like HR, IT, finance, they will make their own budgets, and then you put together everything to arrive at a consolidated P&L budgets and then the related balance sheets. So the first concept we just need to know is, what is a master budget? So first thing is, it starts with the first sales budget is prepared, then other departments make their budgets based on sales budget, then overall P&L balance sheet and cash flow budget is prepared. All right, you are now familiar with the master budget. Let me check the questions. Okay. The second concept is called flex budget, and it is the most important thing which you have to look for. Let me write VVIP. Very, very important. INP. Okay. Sorry. VV. Very, very important. Okay. Flexed budget. So how many of you are aware of the meaning of flexed budget? Say yes. Okay, let me ask. Okay, most of you are. How many of you are not familiar with the concept of flex budgets? Say no. Oh my God. So many people. How the hell were you able to reach to this stage of SBL? Did you guys do some cheating or what? I'm surprised. Oh my God, the list of no's are longer than the list of yes. Oh, we forgot. Thank God. Otherwise, I had some serious doubts about ACCA's quality. All right, as long as you forgot, I can understand. But if you don't knew the concept, I was shocked. Right, so flexed budget, you cannot compare actual numbers directly with budgeted numbers. So what's the purpose of the budget, right? We have a budget. We say sales is 1,000. And then why do we make a budget? So that later on we monitor the actual performance. So the actual is, let's say 800. And variance is adverse variance of 200. Correct? Now, if you want to compare budget versus actual, okay, there is always a chance that actual sales quantity might vary. For example, in the budget, we planned 100 units to be sold, whereas in actual, we sold like 90 units. Okay, so obviously, if there is a difference in the quantity, or I would like to, oops, what happened? I would like to call volumes. Okay, so if there is a difference in the budgeted volumes versus the actual volumes, then whatever you are comparing the amounts, it's not apple to apple comparison, because the budgeted revenue is based on a volume of 100 cars, and the actual revenues and cost and profitabilities are based on the volume of 90 cars. So the first and foremost thing you need to do is you need to calculate a revised budget, which is not called revised budget, it's called a flex budget, but it's effectively a revised budget, which means that you pick up the original budget, which was based on 100 quantity, and you revise it at the rate of 90 quantities, and then you compare the actuals with the flex budget. That would be a apple to apple comparison. Okay, let me quickly clean up the mess I created. Right, so flex budget is when you revise the original budget in accordance with the actual volumes or quantity, so that you are able to compare the actual performance in an apple to apple or like to like manner. Okay, so now look at this sentence, very important. Whenever actual numbers are given in your exam, you first calculate flex budget and then you compare with actuals. Okay, very important. Whenever in your exam you are given a budget and actual, you just don't start taking out variance directly. The first thing you need to do is check out the budgets, what volumes or level it has been prepared at. Check out the actual volumes. If they are different, then you recalculate the budget based on the revised volumes, and then you compare your actuals with the revised or flex budget, as we call it. Okay, please don't call it revised, it's called flex budget. Let me take questions. Is flex budget and rolling budget similar? No, Nikki. Rolling budget is another concept which I don't want to discuss right now. A short answer is it's a different thing. Okay, screen stuck. I don't know. The technical team, they can look into that. Sir, do we need that much detail in SBL? What detail? I never talked about any detail. And you will see, I will do a question right now on this particular topic, so you'll see how it is tested in the exam. Important topics from a financial portion is there are just 3 topics. A financial statement might be given, so you need to calculate ratios. Other possibility is financial projection will be given. You need to talk about analyze the projection. And the third possibility is management information system, or MIS, will be given, which is basically budget versus actuals, and you need to comment. These are the 3 important areas of finance. In exams, do we have to prepare budgets? No. This is being tested somewhere in other subjects, right? Where does planning and operation variance come in? It doesn't come in SBL, my friend. Forget about these kind of advanced questions. Are you testing my knowledge? Is rolling budget important? If it was important, I would have talked about it. It's not important. Correct, Savarnima, you are correct. Alia, I had just repeated in the earlier thing that in finance there are 3 important things. Why don't you guys listen, just listen to the recording later on. It's MIS, financial statements, financial projections. I had actually written all these in pink color. Come on. We have very limited time. I don't want to repeat things. That's a very unproductive and inefficient use of my time and your time. Not your time, but other students' time. Please, please, okay? Please don't take me wrong. Last thing is comparison of actuals. Again, I've just explained to you that when we need to compare actuals, whenever actual numbers are given, you compare with two things. Remember, whenever you are given actuals, you need to compare with two things. As a CFO, you first compare the actuals with the flex budget of that year. And also, I would like to compare my actuals with last year actuals as well. So as a CFO, in my normal day job, whenever I want to analyze my actual performance, I compare my current year actuals with two things. I compare it with current year's budget, which is flexed, and then I would also like to compare it with last year actuals, whether we are improving as per last year or progressing or not. So please guys, again coming back to thing, whenever you come see a budget or a MIS question, always remember three things. See whether a master budget is applicable or not in that requirement, but most likely it might not be applicable, but I just thought it's an important concept. But most likely the concept of flexed budget and the concept of comparison of actuals with budget and last year actuals, these are the two very important things which you need to mention in your answer. Okay, let me take a look at the questions. It's all right, Alia. No need to feel sorry. All right. There's a Shilpa is asking. Sorry to ask, but should we use Excel for quick calculation of ratio and copy paste in Word? Copy paste in Word, but I never said that you need to copy paste the ratios in the Word. Why would you copy paste ratios? You can just type that the sales has reduced by 20% as compared to 2016. Now you can see that the GP margin has reduced from 25% to 5% this year. So where is copy pasting coming in? Okay, you're just typing up in simple sentence. You calculate the ratio on calculator and type it in your sentence. Okay. Excel is not needed in the paper. I think yes, 99% of the time it's not needed, as that's why stay away from Excel unless you are good in Excel. But that doesn't mean you start doing stuff in Excel and start copy pasting. Okay. Lily, please, stick to questions relating to the current topic on the screen. This has been discussed yesterday. Okay, I will do a question now on budgets and MIS and flex budget. Good timing. All right. So let's do question practice number 9. Topic is budget and MIS. So hold on, guys. This is specimen paper 3, okay, called NEBI, and we're gonna do question number 4A, and we need to read the financial and management accounting information exhibit only. Question number, and it will cover the presentation slide as well. Okay, just give me a second. I just have a glass of water, please. Thank you so much. All right, so here comes our presentation slide format. Most students think that presentation slides in SBL is one of the most difficult things, and they are very skeptical and nervous, most students. However, let me assure you that this is in fact the most easiest thing in SBL, especially for CBE students, but to some extent manual paper students as well, because it is simple and high scoring. And it is my job to make it simple and explain to you in very easy manner. Okay, so it's a very simple thing. Whenever you are asked to make a presentation slide, so in the CBE paper, a presentation slide template is already provided to you. It's a ready-made template in which you just need to type in your stuff. So you actually don't need to make any format if you are a CBE student. Okay, and I will show you right now. Okay, so if I go to the response options, you see here there's a word processor, there's a spreadsheet, there's a baby spreadsheet as well. I don't know how or why. A couple, okay, and then there's a slide. So you see these slides, click on the slide and something like this will open up. So it is a slide. This is already a slide, and you can type here. Okay, and you can format here, and you can center here, and then you can enter a bullet, and again a bullet. So okay, so it is a slide. And then how it works is, so in a presentation slide, there is a body of this slide, which is like this, a rectangle box. Okay, in this one you write bullets. So in this rectangle body, inside this you write bullet points. You don't write stories. You give a heading. So you give a heading on the inside the slide, but more importantly, the contents inside this rectangle box are bullet points. Okay, like I've given an example of HR issues. So a company is facing HR issues, and I've given the first issue facing is high turnover. The second issue it is facing is low staff morale, and the third issue they are facing is salaries not aligned with market. So these are three headings or three bullets. Now, where do we explain these three headings or three bullets? So we go outside the body. Sorry, we go outside this rectangle body, and something is called speaker notes. So we will give a manual students. You will first need to draw this rectangle like this on your answer. Proper big rectangle covering half the page using a proper scale. Once you have written the headings or bullet inside, then you will come out of the rectangle box, give a heading speaker notes, and then you will write 2 or 3 lines for each of the bullets. So for example, high turnover, you will write few lines. After that, you will leave 1 line, and then you will write 2 lines on low staff morale. After that, you will leave 1 line and you will write something about salaries not aligned with the market. Now, no need to give us subheadings. Just follow the proper sequence and just link the explanations here are linked with your exhibit. So you can copy stuffs and sentences and issues and facts and figure on the speaker note, and then you can do it the reverse. So you first copy sentences from the exhibits into your speaker notes, and then you can make appropriate heading and go back and give the headings. So either you can make headings first and explain, or if you feel easier, you can first draft your answer and go back and fill the presentation slide with headings. Okay, so for CBE, so this one is the slide. If you scroll down, you will see speaker notes. So here you will type, for example, my first point is me too. So you will explain me too, what you mean by me too and me too. You will write all your stories here. And then on the second bullet, and then on your third bullet, you are done. So speaker notes are basically where your explanation or information linked from the case or exhibit sits, and the slides is just the header or the bullet point. This is the simple thing. Okay. So in this particular question, we need to prepare 2 slides. So already you will be given 2 templates, slide 1 followed by its speaker notes of slide 1, and then there is slide 2 followed by speaker notes of slide 2. Okay, so I'll just press, so if I want to clean everything, reset, I press this first button. Are you sure you want to reset? Yeah, okay. So it will all get clean and I will close it. So do you understand the slide for, oh my God, it's so dirty. I can't. So manual students, how would you do it? For example, if this is your blank page or your answer sheet, okay, this is the total, let's say this is the total height of your, okay, like this, okay, your format, your page is like this, more of a portrait, right? So maybe you see the your height is of this paper is from here till here. Okay, so what you need to do is you will say question number whatever, and then you will draw the slide. I don't have a scale with me, but you actually would draw something like this, 1 half page covered. Okay, you will write slide number 1 and you will write the name of the slide, HR issues. Okay, and you will write high turnover, low morale, and then here you will write speaker notes, and then you will explain high turnover, leave a line, and then you will explain low staff morale. So 1 page, 1 slide along with your speaker notes, next fresh page, 2nd slide with your speaker notes. Make it large, neat and clean, visually pleasing. Okay, right, I need to see, let me take a look at the comments. Do I write slide number 1 on the slide, Lily? I think no, I think you can avoid it. Can each point have more than 1 paragraph? Yes, if you think you want to, yes, you can. Sir, what if the question is to prepare slides with weakness and recommendation? So what? What's wrong with that? So this Zabi is saying we will be working in the word processor. So in case you prepare an exam, the slides also get submitted by default. Obviously, yes. So in your exam, when you will submit your answer, the word processor, the spreadsheet, and the slides, all 3 will be submitted. The only thing which is not going to be submitted is the scratch pad, which we are not using anyways. but all the three, word processor, spreadsheet, and slides will be submitted. Even though if you haven't used it, a blank will be submitted to the examiner. Do we need to give headings in speaker notes? No, I just said no subheadings. Can you just tell how new slides are inserted? You don't need to insert any slide. If the question says 2 slides, your CB software will contain 2 slides. Okay. If the question says 100 slides, then the CB software will have 100 slides. Do we need to give speaker notes again? Why? How come you're asking the same questions again and again? Is there any option to undo once we clear the worksheet unknowingly? Huh? My God. So he's saying, is there any option to undo once we clear the worksheet unknowingly? Wow, Mr. Shamil, you are on the roll. Shamil, you are again asking questions. This is the 5 times you have asked the same question. I will ask the admin to block you out. Okay, I warned you earlier as well. Don't flood my question box. It's not fair with other students. I don't want to answer your question. I'm sorry. If you don't listen to me, I'm not going to listen to you. Sorry. Can we explain the staff turnover point beneath the bullet? No, Huda. Why do you ask these questions? I'm saying the rectangle, the information inside the rectangle is only bullets. All the explanations will be outside the bullet, okay, under speaker notes. And, on the worksheet, I think Control Z works. It's all right, Shamil. Please listen and take care. Act like a mature students. Thank you. I would like to check. Okay, let me go to a word processor. Okay, let me open a word processor and let me write some stupid stuff. Okay, let me close it. Let me open it again. It's there. Okay, now supposing it got deleted unknowingly. So there is an undo button here. You see this button? I can press this. It comes back. Supposing I delete it again and I press Control Z, it will come again. Supposing I delete it again and I close it. So it gets saved. Okay. Now I open it again. It's not there. Can I do undo? It's there. So good. No risk. You guys clear? Okay, let's move on. So now let's do this question. Specimen paper number 3, Nahbi question 4A. Okay, let me open question 4A. All right, prepare a presentation with an appropriate number of slides and accompanying notes to support your findings, covering the following items: identification of the weaknesses of the current management accounting information in supporting decision making for the restaurant business. What's that? Identification of the weaknesses of the current management accounting information. 6 months. Recommendations for improvement to the management accounting data, which identifies key performance indicators which should be included in the monthly management accounts So you need to first in part A you need to talk about the weaknesses. In part B you need to talk about the improvements to the management accounting data. Okay, and then you also need to talk about which identifies, oops, where did it go? Which identifies key performance indicators which should be included in the So we're not going to do that because key performance indicators we haven't discussed, but I want to do part A and then maybe recommend improvements. So this is 10 marks, and then professional skill marks are available for demonstrating communication in clarifying relevant information to the board, 4 marks. So this 4 marks is for part A, or is it for part B, or is it to be split between part A and part B? What do you think? Yes, excellent guys, very intelligent. Because it's towards the end, it says clarifying information to the board. So both the slides are for the board. So we divide the 4 marks maybe equally between part A and part B. So part A becomes, what's the total marks for part A? 6 marks technical plus 2 marks professional. It is 8 marks. So for 8 marks, I need to give 4 weaknesses, but at least 3, if not 4. Because in this presentation we make the bullets and then we write and all those stuff, so at least 3, ideally 4. And then what's the total marks for part B? It's 10 marks technical plus 2 marks of professional, 12 marks. So we need to give you see 12, so 12 divided by 2 is 6 points. If not 6, at least 5 recommendations plus KPIs. So let me show you the MIS. It's in Excel. Very good. So if I see this, so they have given a statement of profit or loss account for the year ended 2020. It's like sales, cost of sale, then statement of financial position. That's a proper P&L and balance sheet. Okay. And then it says management accounts. So actually this requirement 4A just talks about management accounts. Okay, so we have to ignore the financial statements. The financial statements were supposed to be used in some other tasks. Okay, so right now we will look at management accounts. So guys, I have opened the screen for you. I need you to, I give you like 5 minutes. You study the management accounts and come up with 3/4 weaknesses. Because I can see the word budget, I can see the word actual, and then variances. And you need to, if you scroll down, there are some information there as well. Okay, here you go. 5 minutes starts now. Recall the lecture that we need to look whenever we see a question on budget versus actual. What are the 3 things we look at? Your time starts now. I give you 3 minutes to identify some weaknesses. One more minute. Think smartly. So if you are the CFO and if your subordinate gives you this sheet to review the performance of budget versus actual, what would you do? All right. Were you guys able to pick up the weaknesses? Let me go through the. Oh, very good, guys. Very good. I am enjoying your comments. Very relevant, professional, technically correct comments. Good job. Good job. Right. So, if my subordinate would have given this kind of MIS, what would I have done? I would have thrown this at her or his face and pulled his or her hair and shot that person. What kind of stupid MIS is this? There is some basic flaw or basic information missing. This report is no good use to me. So first of all, biggest mistake, they have given a budget and they have given an actual, and then they directly calculated variance. So the biggest mistake here is that they should first calculate the flexed budget, because the sales volumes or the sales activity levels of budget versus actuals are different. So they need to recalculate food cost, labor cost, and other costs and admin expenses and everything according to the actual sales levels. So flaw number one, flex budget is not there. Were you able to pick it up, guys? I saw a lot of comments, but I'm not sure whoever mentioned flex budget. So first mistake is flex budget is not there. It's just directly comparing budget with actual is comparing it's comparing apple with bananas. You can't do that. It has to be a like to like comparison. That's first thing. Second thing, I have not even gone into the numbers. Okay, I'm just looking at the format and trying, getting some grounds to shoot that person. First of all, it's not budget versus no flex budget is there. The second weakness, I can see a column called variances, and it tells me the amount. For example, if you look at the sales turnover for the year, the budget was 10 million and actual sales is 9.6 million. So my actual sales is short by 389,000. That's the variance. But what's missing? What is the next logical question I will ask that stupid person? The next logical question would be, why is this shortfall? I'm not interested in how much. Okay, I'm interested in how much is the shortfall, but more importantly, I need to know why is the shortfall. So where are the reasons? The reasons for variances, the explanation for variances, the analysis, the in-depth investigation or analysis investigating the variances is missing. That's weakness number two, that the analysis of variances or investigation of the reasons for variances is not there. So these two high level weaknesses just on the format. And then I can, look a little bit in the numbers. People have said that admin expenses, a breakup should be given, and that's a pretty valid thing. And some comments here and there, all very good. There's one more thing, and you have not picked up because you have not read this story. You have not read this case full. But this is a case, this is specimen 3, which is called Nebi Company. And Nebi Company owns 8 restaurants. Okay. How many restaurants they own and run? 8 restaurants. Now this MIS is giving me a total picture, right? The total performance of 8. This is a total MIS, which means that this is the aggregate of total combined performance of 8 restaurants. Now, does this ring a bell? Does this raise a question, or does this identify a weakness in your mind? Can you pick something here? If this is a total for 8 restaurants, what could be a next weakness or something which you want to see as a CFO? Restaurant wise variances. Excellent, guys. Yes, I want to see the totals, but I want to drill down and also see something similar for each restaurant, because I want to know which restaurant is performing, which is not performing, which restaurant is contributing how much to my revenues and how much to my profit or losses. Excellent. So if you have multiple locations or multiple branches or multiple restaurants, the third thing, even without going into numbers, as a CFO, I will ask that I want a location-wise breakup or a restaurant-wise breakup as well. Good. So even without taking a deep dive in the number, in the values, I came up with 3 flaws with the format. Number 1 reason was, so let me now type. So now you understand. Now I will put this on the side. I will go, okay, let me reduce this a bit. How do I reduce the size? Yeah. I put it on the side. I go down. I open the spreadsheet. No, the slides. How many slides they have given? 1, 2, just 2 slides. Okay, so maybe I need to do 1 slide for 4A and 1 slide for 4B. Okay, so slide 1 it talks about the weakness of current MIS. So I'll give a heading. This is my slide heading. Okay, so I will center it and make it big, heading 1. And then I will say, what's the first weakness? That's it. Enter. One more enter. Leave a line and do another bullet. Go down, enter. Okay. The second one was what else? Restaurant wise performance missing. Because the slide says weaknesses, so I'm saying what's missing. Okay. And the 4th slide would be let's say simple. No stories, no stories inside the box. I would also select all this and make it look nice by giving heading 3, so it looks like something beautiful. Okay, so if you see here, this is how it looks. Big weakness of current MIS, 4 weaknesses in big fonts. Now you see slide 1 speaker notes, slide 2, slide 3. Oh, there are 3 slides. I don't know what's happening, but all right. Now you go down and now you start drafting. You will say the MIS does not have flexed budget. The actuals, oh my god, I hate typing. Actuals are being compared, slow down Hassan, compared with budgets as revenue levels are different. It is not giving a true picture. Do I give recommendation? No, because you remember the requirement, the recommendation has to be in part 4B. Okay, enter. What else? Although the MIS shows variance amounts, it does not explain the reasons for variances. The board will be unable to understand the variance amounts in absence of any explanations. What's the third one? Third one was restaurant-wise performance. Nebi has 8 restaurants. However, the MIS seems like a combined consolidated MIS. Due to this, restaurant level performance is not visible to the board. Khalas. Fourth, breakup of admin expenses. Admin expenses. How is it? Is it material admin expenses? My material, you know, material. The meaning of material. Is it amount wise? Is it big amount? Admin expense for the year is 2 million, and it's actually 2.2 million, and it is 23% of the revenue. So it's 23% of the revenues. Very good. Admin expenses is quite material as it represents 23% of the revenue. No breakup, no amount-wise breakup is available in the MIS. Done, guys. 8 marks, 6 marks technical, and 2 marks professional. For 8 marks, I have given you the presentation slide. It looks like this to the examiner. Let me increase. Not bad, Hassan. Oh, C is spelling. Okay, I'll fix it. Weaknesses of current MIS. I gave the 4 bullets first, which is inside the box you can't see here, and then slide 1 speaker notes. All these 3 bullets are explained very nicely. That's why you remember in the start I said that students are very nervous about presentation slides, but in my opinion, they are uh, high scoring, time consuming, because you don't need to write lengthy or fancy stories. You just write couple of lines for each point under speaker notes and just give a small bullet heading inside the box for each of those paragraphs. Do I have any questions? What about slide number? Or skip the slide number. No, it's not important. Okay, very good. Costing method not mentioned. Yeah, Shilpa. I mean, if you can't think of anything else, then you can write that. Will you share these answers? Yes, I will share. What do you mean by expenses being material? By material, it means, is it a big amount? Materiality concept is the word coming from audit. So material means, is the amount big enough, or is it a small amount which we can ignore? So admin cost was sizable, right? It was like 20, represents 20% of my revenue. That's called material, and it's big and important. You can't ignore. Just 2 lines for speaker note is enough, sir. Yes, Najla, it is enough. But if now, please remember that these 2 lines are on the CVE thing. But if you in real life, if you actually write these lines on a manual paper, it will not be 2 lines. It would be like 4 lines. Okay. So, sir, formula can be used in spreadsheet just like Excel. IRR formula can be used. Yes, you can, but please, you are not required in SBL. Okay. How many marks will these points score that you are writing? 1 mark. 1 mark each. So I gave 4 points. So you got 4 marks of this, and out of professional marks, you will get 1 mark. So 5 to 6 marks out of 8. Actual of prior year. Oh my God. SN, thank you so much. SN is saying, what about actuals of prior year? Yes. These guys are just comparing actuals with budget. What about comparing actuals with prior year? That's a big weakness, but I want to target like maximum 4 weaknesses for 8 marks. So if I've done 4, then leave it. If you can't think of, you need to do 4. So if you can include that inside 4, it would be awesome. Ria, CBE platform, ask me in a bit when I will talk about CBE platform again. So at that time you can ask. Yes, Savarmima, you can write. All right, good. So now the 4B says, that identify the, give recommendations. Okay. So how would you give recommendations? You just create another slide. Go to slide 2. This is slide 2. Yeah. You will say the recommendations for MIS. Select it. Center it quickly. Heading 1. What's the first recommendation? Tell me, guys. Second recommendation. So what's the second weakness? Third weakness. And then remember, they also ask something about KPIs. So we need to mention some KPIs. Since you haven't read the questions, but there are certain KPIs for hotel industry. KPI stands for key performance indicators. You need to mention that, just copy paste from the thing. Right. So I want to test one thing. I want to see whether you can insert a table. Just I'm curious because one student asked me if we are that in case if the question asks you for weakness and recommendation in one slide, can we use a table in a slide? So let me see. Awesome. So the table is working. So you will say, okay, so table is working. Perfect. How do you delete the table? You select Control A and select this Control X. Okay, backspace. Right, so I'm closing this, guys. Do I have any questions? Do we need to mention question number in the slide? Interesting question. I believe no, because the slides there's just pertains to one particular question. The examiner reading from the heading of your slide should be able to judge. Of course, Simran, you will need to use the same points for recommendations. So for example, the weakness is not having flexed. So how can you give a recommendation which is not related to that weakness? Amal, you are again asking the same question. Can IRR formula be used in spreadsheet like Excel? Please don't. Okay, yes, I think it will be used. It may be working, but for SBL, not required. Yes, I'm giving a break, just finishing. Can the examiner ask us to calculate flex budget? He will never ask you, but sometimes if he says analyze the below data and he's giving you budget and actuals, then you will automatically be expected to calculate flex budget. Okay. Can we write a line in the Word document that answer 4B is in the slides? Good idea, Ozair. Yes, go for it. All right. Let me see what is next. We've done this. All right, so let's take a 10 minutes break and then we will go for our technical articles. A very, very important thing. It's like 8:58, it will be 9:58 Pakistan time. At 10 minutes, 10, 10. All right, guys, see you in 10 minutes, okay? Right, guys, welcome back from the break. Can I have a couple of yes to know that my voice is clear and you can see the screen? Excellent. So very good. So I think today we did a big topic, which is budgets, MIS, financial statements. Now technical articles. Okay. So in the last publication of Student Accountant, there were two technical articles. One was on blockchain technology and the other one was on cryptocurrencies. Okay, so I believe that these both the topics are important from the exam point of view, because in the previous attempt there was an article on Internet of Things, IoT, and there was a question in the exam on IoT. So it's best that we do these two articles, and of course these are the talk of the town as well, and so you should be familiar with the basic concepts of blockchain technology. So now, so there is a small video of around 6.5 minutes which I have selected to help you understand what blockchain is. But I don't want to run this video now. You can run this video later at your home, and you would be able to understand at least something like 50 to 60% of this video. Okay, you might not be able to understand fully, but still, at least if you're able to understand 50%, it's good enough from your exam point of view. You will at least know what is the context and what it is about. So let me explain to you uh, the blockchain technology. Okay, so a lot of people think that blockchain is a technology which is used by Bitcoin, and most of you might know that Bitcoin is a digital currency. Okay, so blockchain is actually a technology which can be used for any kind of transaction or data recording. It is not specific to digital currencies at all. Okay, so let's first understand the traditional systems, what we are used to, what's happening in all the organizations. So all the systems which we have seen in an organization, imagine a bank, imagine an organization, there are systems and softwares and there are databases. All the transactions, all the data are stored and kept in the servers, right? That's the way we have seen it all the years. So currently all information systems are stored in a centralized database. That's how it's worked, that all the data of the bank is sitting somewhere in a large server. All the data are this, it's centralized. That means it's sitting together in one server. Then there might be backups of it, but right now the technology or the architecture, as we call it, it is a centralized database concept. Okay, so now there are certain risks with centralized database. Again, all the eggs are in one basket. So if the data is stored, it can be manipulated or it can be edited, especially by unauthorized persons. Okay, so the security risk is high because all the data is being stored as a centralized thing in one place. So if anything goes wrong, if anyone is able to manipulate or edit the data or hack the data, it's relatively easier, and it is a high risk. Okay, so these are the some of the drawbacks of the traditional or conventional systems. All right, agreed. I hope it's not very technical for my future accountants. Right. So now came the blockchain technology. And by the way, it is not a new technology. It has been around for many years. It's just that it got famous and came into the limelight after these digital currencies, they got famous. So blockchain technology is a decentralized ledger. So if you compare, the traditional or current systems are mainly centralized, blockchain is decentralized. They call it distributed. So distributed means decentralized. So the definition is blockchain technology is a distributed ledger. Okay, whereas we currently have centralized ledgers. So distributed means it's a decentralized ledgers which is stored on multiple computers at the same time. Okay, so decentralized means that it is not kept in one central location. Decentralized means that the data is kept in multiple locations. That's why it's called decentralized. In simple words, it stores data in small chunks, and those chunks are called blocks across thousands of computers. So all the data are stored over thousands of computers in small chunks called blocks. These blocks are uneditable. That's the main thing. So when you store data in a blockchain technology, that transaction is uneditable. Whereas it is in the conventional system, if you store a transaction, you can go and edit the transaction, you can delete the transaction, you can manipulate the transaction. But in a blockchain technology, if a transaction has been stored once, then it can never be edited or deleted or manipulated. All addition, deletions, edits are created as a new record, and it is added as a fresh block to the chain. Okay, so whatever is stored is permanently stored. It is not editable. No one can edit it. Plus it's stored in thousands of soft computers. It is all spread over the place. It's decentralized. So the risk of editing, manipulation, hacking is almost next to zero. So that's the biggest difference, or you can say the advantage of blockchain technology. It is very secure. It is decentralized. No editing or hacking can be done. So it's very simple. All right. So currently, what's the usage of blockchain? Where is it being used? It is used for financial transactions. It is used in cryptocurrencies, digital currencies like Bitcoin, etc. Governments are using in land titles. Hospitals are using in medical records, supply. So wherever there is data or a transaction, you have two options as an organization. Either you will save it in your conventional system, which is centralized, the thing we have always been used to, or you can adopt blockchain technology and save your data using blockchain technology, whereby your data will be decentralized. It will be stored in small chunks or blocks, and whatever you store in it, it can never be edited. Whatever future addition, deletion, manipulation you have to do will be created as another transaction and added to the previous chain to make, to show the continuity of the transaction. So all this concept, if you watch this video, you will understand this concept. Okay, it can never be edited by owner? Yes, correct, Fahad. The owner even cannot edit the data. The only way you can edit it is create a new transaction which will not override the data. It will be added on top of the data. So in a conventional system, the how do we edit data? For example, you open up a Word document. How do you edit it? You will press backspace and you will edit the data or edit the text, right? And the system will overwrite and it will replace the previous text with the new text. But in a blockchain, you can't open an existing transaction and go and overwrite it or change it. You need to create a new transaction which will sit on top of the previous transactions. So this is where how they make it very secure. Are these blocks prone to virus destruction? Very interesting. I would imagine yes. Sir, can we use this as a disaster recovery tool? Yes. Who control this? Very good. So it's not controlled. This is one of the disadvantages. Okay. You mean, sir, system won't overwrite it? It will create a new file? Absolutely, yes. A new file, it is called a new block in blockchain language. I can hear your cat. Yes, I'm very sorry for that. She wants to go out and play, but I can't get up and open the door. Please excuse me for that. Let me shoot her. Okay. So how it works, can you please give live example? If you watch this video, you guys will understand. Okay, so this video is for layman people. It just says how it works, what are those benefits or extra features which blockchain has, which is not there in a conventional system. So this so okay, I will not shoot her. Okay, so this video will really help you. Okay, so to watch the video, you will, if even if you understand 50% of the video, you will understand the basic concept. That's what is required. Now, what is the advantage of having blockchain? In fact, first let me tell you guys how this can be tested in your paper. Okay, let's understand this first. Of course, it's a technology thing, so you won't be expected to know all the technical details. Okay, but from an SBL student's perspective, how it can be tested in the paper, and the examiner himself is advising us. I have not created this portion. It is the examiner who himself is saying how blockchain will be tested in SBL paper. So he says an organization may be considering implementing a blockchain technology to record its transaction. So in the case study which will come up, maybe that company or organization is thinking of adopting blockchain technology to record its transaction. Obviously, they must be having the conventional databases, the conventional general ledgers, the centralized systems as of now. And now they must be thinking, maybe, exhibit will say that the board has heard of blockchain technology, which is getting popular and spreading very fast. So they would like to know more about blockchain. So you may be asked to recommend with justifications whether blockchain technology is appropriate or not for the organization. Okay, so how would you evaluate? Maybe this question can come as an evaluation skill, that you need to evaluate whether the organization should adopt or move towards blockchain technology. So if it's an evaluation thing, you need to give a balanced analysis. You need to talk about both pros and cons. So you will tell the board that blockchain technology is a two-liner definition. You can pick up from here the two-liner definition, and then you need to talk about the advantages. Okay, the advantages and certain risks or disadvantages. So from an exam point of view, what I mean to say is that you must know 2 or 3 advantages of blockchain and 2 or 3 disadvantages of blockchain. Okay. So what is the advantage of blockchain? The biggest advantage is data cannot be tampered. As I said, that the data in the normal system, whatever changes you do, it is overwriting the previous data, right? But in blockchain, the technology or the methodology is different. There is no concept of overwriting a previous data. All new changes are added as a new block or as a new chunk to the previous block. That is why it's called a blockchain. Okay, so all the historic records and all the track of changes will be there as separate files, separate blocks. So you cannot tamper with the data in any way. So when you say data cannot be tampered, it means that the data becomes more reliable. Then there is no need for intermediaries or middlemen, example bank. Okay, so what is the role of a bank? So the role of a bank is to add confidence, to keep the information confidential between the two parties. Because the two parties, let's say there's an importer and there's an exporter. So the bank is the middle person, because the importer and the exporter, they don't know each other. They cannot trust each other. But if they are using blockchain, and then all the data, all the transactions between them is recorded in such a manner that no one can, deny it, no one can edit it, no one can refuse that data. So because the data is trustworthy, the data becomes reliable, then you don't need lawyers and bankers who kind of act as a middleman to increase the reliability or authenticity. Okay, so no need for intermediaries, which less disputes, as all blocks are created after consents of both parties. Okay, so transactions between both parties are created after the both parties signs off on the data. And then because of all these, it saves, blockchain saves considerable time and costs. That's a big advantage. Blockchain can lead to considerable savings of time and cost. How come? Lower IT cost. You don't need those large IT servers and IT departments and backups and securities. And then there is, a reduced need for intermediaries and middlemen. So all these are costs which you can shave off. And then transparency, because all the data is available, people can see, and it is transparent. So just remember, even if you don't fully understand, remember, you don't have to do diploma in blockchain technology. Just understand the high level concept. The biggest charm of blockchain is it is more secure, data cannot be editable, you need less intermediaries and middlemen. So all this means that it saves time and cost and increases the reliability of the data, the reliability, the authenticity, and the transparency of the data. Let me look at some questions. Fahad, you're asking technical questions. Please, no need for thinking on technical lines. Think on business lines. Hacker cannot edit. If something is not editable, then whatever files you create, he cannot edit. He cannot do anything because the file is uneditable. Sir, what do we suggest after discussing pros and cons? The company should adopt it or not? So if the question says, does not just says evaluate, then there is no need to give recommendation or suggestion. But if the question says recommend, then judging from the tone of the exhibit, you can say the company can adopt it, or if you want to emphasize more on the advantages, then you can say company can adopt it. Or if you want to emphasize more on the risks and disadvantages, you can say that company should wait, let the technology become more mature, and then we should consider it at a smaller scale or at a later scale or at an incremental approach. Okay. Could audit cost also be reduced? Yes. Auditors, what do? Auditors, they kind of verify the transactions with vouchers and invoices. That all is no more required, because whatever data is in blockchain is with the consent of the both parties. Can we give real-time life examples where, Junaid, in your answer? No. In your SBL answer, you're not expected to give real-life examples. What you need to do is link the answer with the exhibits. That's it. What is the difference between cloud computing and blockchain? Cloud computing is the conventional thing, okay? So the normal servers, the normal database which we have, if we have a physical server, it is in our office, it is called servers. If we are saving all our data in Amazon or Google servers, that's called cloud computing. They both are the same conventional thing. Okay, cloud computing is the conventional thing. Is it like extension of cloud computing? No. Cloud computing is the normal conventional thing which is editable. You can go into your cloud and edit the data. The system will override the data. The hackers can easily hack cloud computing. Okay, so just don't get confused. Cloud computing is just the conventional systems what we are currently using. All companies are using cloud right now. So it's not blockchain. Blockchain is something separate. Blockchain is decentralized. Cloud computing is centralized. It's also disrupt some industries? Absolutely yes. Blockchain is an example of disruptive technologies. It will screw up a lot of things. It will screw up the banks. It will screw up the currencies. It will screw up the central banks, the governments. It's a big thing. As March 2020 was based on technology, is there a chance blockchain will be there? That's what I said. That's why I am discussing that blockchain is an important topic for this attempt. All right. So what are the disadvantages of blockchain? Number one, the technology is still developing. Okay, it's still not mature. They claim that it is uneditable, unhackable, but I think it's just a matter of time. Some intelligent persons like you guys will eventually find a way to hack it or edit it. So the technology is still developing. Governance issues, again, it's something which is not properly governed right now. It's just like internet is not governed, right? You can do whatever you want in the internet, or you see. So this is again, very limited or no governance over this. Legal status is not clear. If you store your transactions on a blockchain, I don't know whether the court of law, or you can you will accept transactions generated through blockchain. And counterparty also needs to be on blockchain for us to do a transaction. So both the buyer and the seller, both the people on the opposite ends of the transaction, they need to be present on the blockchain to do a transaction. So coming back to one interesting question which someone asked, that should we recommend, if the question says recommend, I would say no. I'm not comfortable in moving to blockchain at this point in time. So if the question asks you for a specific recommendation, you can be a little bit diplomatic and tilt more towards the no side or the disadvantage side. Okay, I would say, although there are some, you can say, distinct advantages of blockchain, however, the technology is still in a developing phase. There are limited governance issues, and the legal status is not clear. So we recommend that we should monitor the development of this technology for for maybe some more time, and then slowly and cautiously and move to blockchain technology using a incremental approach. What is an incremental approach? So you start small, you take one step, and then slowly and gradually you build up as you move along. Okay, I would like to give a cautious recommendation to the board, simply because it's not a mature technology. This is mostly being used in blockchain, no, in cryptos and the dark web and the gray areas. So let it be more transparent, more legalized, then we should adopt it. That's my personal view. Okay. Let me look at the questions. Yes, yes, Asan, you are right. Legal status point is very simple. We don't know whether the blockchain technology or the transactions being generated through blockchain is legally acceptable. Maybe when you show your data to a bank which is coming out from a blockchain technology, the bank will say, I'm not going to accept this data. Or in a court of law, you might not be able to present data through blockchain. I don't know. So the legal status is still a question mark. Some countries have rejected blockchain and cryptocurrency. Some of them are adopting, but with a lot of, ifs and buts. So it's not very clear. Mohammad Asad, there is no right or wrong answer in SBL. Whatever you recommend, as long as your logic is intelligent logic, you will get marks. If you say adopt and you give logical argument, you will get equally good marks. If you say don't adopt and you give your own logical intelligent logics, you will get equally good marks. So this is the beauty of SBL. There is no one right answer. It is not a balance sheet that it's balanced, that means it's correct, and if it's not balanced, it's incorrect. No, it's business, my friends. Whatever you say, if it is intelligent argument, if it is logically correct, you will get marks regardless of what you say and regardless of what others say. Is blockchain more costly? Yasir, I just explained that the biggest advantage of blockchain is it's cheaper. You can save time and cost. How can you ask such stupid questions? Right, move to cryptocurrencies. So the name says cryptocurrency. You can also think of it like a digital currency or an online currency. Okay. So again, let me start from the traditional currency. Let me explain the key features of the traditional or physical currency, and then so that you are able to understand the cryptocurrency. So traditional currency exists physically. Okay. All the currencies which you have, they exist physically. All right, they might be kept in a bank, but that's just the safekeeping. You can go and when you withdraw everything, you will get cash. So at the end of the day, the currency of any country, it exists physically. It is somewhere physically, right? And then the traditional currency is controlled by a central authority like a central bank. So even if you think about your own country, all the money supply, everything is controlled by the central bank. So it's centralized. You and I cannot print money, right? I cannot supply money. It's just the central bank. And of course, then all the records are centralized. The central bank knows how much currency is in circulation in the country, who has what. Okay, so that's the main thing. Now, when you talk about digital currency, all these features becomes opposite. So it says it exists physically. A digital currency does not exist physically. It is just online. There is no physical or tangible existence of a digital currency. You can't put it in the wallet and take out the cash and count. The second main thing is it is not controlled by any central authority. It is unregulated, unlike the traditional currency. And the third difference, in a traditional currency, it is like centralized, but here all the transactions are stored in distributed ledgers spread across thousands of computers. So now, have you guys heard of these words before? Distributed ledger spread across thousands of computers. Did you hear this before? Where did you hear this? Zishan, Pavitra, I will shoot you guys. I mean, you need to have certain level of IQ to pass SBL, okay? So please work on your IQ. Read the definition of blockchain. Blockchain is a technology, is a distributed ledger which is stored in a multiple computers at the same time. And you see, if you read here, that all transactions relating to the crypto are stored in distributed ledgers spread across thousands. So cryptocurrencies, which technology they use? They are using blockchain technologies, okay? They are all decentralized, not editable, secure, decentralized data. Once a transaction is authorized, each and every computer in the network is updated. So if I give you money, I have a digital wallet. You have a digital wallet which only exists on the online app. So if I give you $100, $100 will be subtracted from my digital app or digital wallet, and my balance would reduce by $100, and your balance will increase by $100. So all this is recorded in thousands of computers. Okay, so all these thousands of computers will show the same thing, that I have given you $100 and my balance is $100 less, and now your balance is $100 more. So once a transaction is done, it is stored in each and every computer in the network. That is why the data is secure, authentic. No one can mess with it. No one can refuse it or deny it. So to audit or hack the data, each and every computer in the network needs to be edited or hacked, which is near to impossible. That's the beauty of blockchain. Once a transaction is booked, it's fixed, it's gone. Okay, no one can mess with it because it is stored decentralized in so many PCs. Do you understand the background of crypto? It is the exact opposite of traditional. Okay, so traditional is physical, crypto is doesn't exist physical. Traditional is controlled by a central authority. Digital currency does not have any central authority, it's unregulated. Traditional is kept centralized, all records are kept centralized in the conventional database systems, whereas crypto data is stored decentralized in blockchain technologies. It is uneditable, unhackable, very safe. Let me look at questions before you move to advantage and disadvantage. It's all right, Zishan. So the question may link cryptocurrency with blockchain. Yes, but I think in a different kind of question will come in crypto. They might not ask you to link it. Traditional auditors' job would be threatened. Absolutely yes. So crypto and blockchain is something, they are called disruptive technologies. Okay, a disruptive technology means any kind of technology which uses internet and online technologies to challenge the traditional or conventional way of business. So blockchain is a example of disruptive technology because blockchain uses internet and online facilities to challenge the conventional database and the conventional recording systems. Similarly, cryptocurrency is also a disruptive technology because it uses online technologies to challenge the physical or traditional currencies. Okay, so both these are classic examples of disruptive technologies. So if you see the word disruptive technologies in your exhibit, do not get confused. You must know what it means. So both the blockchain and blockchain and cryptocurrencies are examples of, they come under the umbrella of disruptive technology. So what's the advantage of digital currencies? Direct transaction between two parties. If I want to pay you, if I have a Bitcoin account, online Bitcoin digital wallet, and you also are present on online Bitcoin wallet, okay, we both have Bitcoin accounts and balances. I can just press my app and I can immediately transfer $100 to your digital Bitcoin account. Maximum it takes 10 minutes because they do verify, they do their authentication checks, they are all encrypted, and all the algorithms are, it's pretty technical to make it safe. So within 10 minutes, wherever you are in the world, I can transfer you $100 or $100,000. Okay, so direct transaction between two parties. You don't need a bank or exchange money changer or an exchange to remit funds from here to someone sitting in Australia. Of course, it's faster, 10 minutes. And the other currency, Ethernet, it takes less than 2 minutes. There are many currencies in the world, not just Bitcoin. Lesser transaction cost, of course, it reduces currency risk. So for example, all these physical currencies, they have certain risks. They might be devalued, they might lose their values, the government might change the notes or whatever. They can freeze your bank accounts. So you avoid all those physical currency risks. And you can also use digital currency for investment purposes. For example, a lot of people made good profits. They bought Bitcoins when it was pretty cheap, and they sold off Bitcoins when the rates were high. So these are the advantages of digital currency. Okay, but then there are disadvantages as well. None or low regulatory environment, lack of central authority. You don't know who owns these currencies. There is no governance, there is no central authority. It's all out there in the intangible space. Investors can lose their funds if their password is lost. That's a big one, huh? There are complicated passwords because these are just like online bank accounts. So if you forget your password, it's very difficult to retrieve. So it's all gone. And then due to anonymity, it increases the chances of tax evasion, money laundering, and illegal transactions. Because there is no bank, there is no regulations, there is no identity. Everyone exists on just apps. So it's very easy to do money laundering, transfer money, drug money here and there, all these things. That's why the governments, they are rejecting, or they are not allowing cryptocurrencies in their economy, because cryptocurrency can lead to a lot of money laundering and drug trafficking and terrorist financing, tax evasions. It's very difficult to track digital online people. The exchange rates varies based on demand and supply. So the value of Bitcoins or digital currencies, they're not fixed. They keep on changing. They're pretty volatile. So that there's an exposure there. Right. So you just need to know 2 or 3 advantages and 2 or 3 disadvantages. Let me look at the questions. It is banned in Pakistan, or it's actually banned in most part of the world because of the drawbacks. And certain countries now, they are adopting it, but with very limited scope, putting around centralized controls and this and that. Can the effectiveness be affected by internet? Not really. Does cryptocurrency work same as PayPal? Yes, it works same, but PayPal is not a cryptocurrency. PayPal is attached to your credit card, and your credit card is attached to your bank, and your bank is attached to your currency, like traditional currency. A bank is a centralized control. So PayPal is not a currency, cryptocurrency. Okay, credit cards and PayPals and Apple Pay, they are all linked with your bank accounts. All right, and anything which is linked with your bank account is traditional, it's physical, there is central bank, there are controls. Crypto is not linked with your physical bank account. You need to pay cash and buy cryptos, and then it will be, you have a digital wallet for cryptos. No risk of foreign currency fluctuation. Is the transactions are checked before setting up? Yes, the transactions are checked by the systems. Those thousands of systems, they run on encryption and algorithms, and there are arithmetical formulas. It's a full-fledged system out there, but it runs on its own. All right. Now the important thing. And I feel that in your paper, this will come. If any question comes on crypto, it would be something on these lines. So if you go back on blockchain, the question will be, should we adopt blockchain, where you will talk about advantage and you will talk about disadvantage. But if you talk about crypto, I think the question will be on these lines. Okay, it's called ICO, initial coin offerings. And this article, the examiner has focused on ICO. So you must have heard of IPOs. Have you heard? Initial public offerings. For example, if a company wants to raise equity financing, they go for IPOs, right? They announce to the public that the company intends to issue ordinary shares, or right, and the public, they will apply for the initial public or IPOs, and then if they are successful, they will pay the capital and they will get companies shares in return. So I assume that you all know IPOs, the basic concept of IPOs. Yeah. Now the concept of IPO is traditional, right? There's an equity and physical companies, when they need equities, shares, or they want to raise equity financing, they will raise an IPO, and people will inject physical cash and they will get physical shares. Correct? ICO is initial coin offering. It is digital. Okay, it's based on cryptos. Very interesting concepts, very interesting things happening. So just like IPOs, cryptocurrencies can be used to raise finances. Very interesting. So now if a company wants to raise finance, it can, instead of IPO, it can do a ICO. ICOs are normally used by technological firms. Okay, so not normal companies, they will not use. But if you are a technology company, for example, you are launching your own cryptocurrency. Bitcoin actually used ICO to raise money. So Bitcoin, when it came into existence like 10-15 years back, those guys were just two teenagers or two young adults working from their garage. They did not have funds to invest in bitcoins or create blockchain or all those whatever funds are required. So they announced on web that, okay guys, whoever will contribute cash to us, we will issue them bitcoins. Instead of shares, we will issue them bitcoin. So you give $10 and I will give you 1 bitcoin. So they placed a value. Let's say, I'm just giving a hypothetical example. Okay, so they placed a value. Okay guys, we are experimenting something new and it will become very famous in future. So if you want to be part of this venture, why don't you give $10 and we will give you 1 bitcoin for $10. So if you, let's say, contributed $100, if you gave $100 to those guys, they will give you 10 bitcoins. So now it's a gamble. So if the Bitcoin becomes successful in future, then the value of those Bitcoins would become very high and you would gain from that. And if the Bitcoin doesn't become successful, your 10 Bitcoins becomes useless. So that's the whole high level simple concept. So ICO, they don't issue shares. So IPOs, they issue shares, right? Physical shares, physical cash. But ICO, they don't issue shares. They issue coins. They're not physical. So you give them physical cash, but in return you get digital coins. Supporters get tokens in the new currency, which will then become valuable if that currency becomes successful. Understood the concept of ICO? Yes, for ICO, the company must be dealing in cryptocurrencies. You are correct. Okay. Normally, these are just used by very high-tech technological firms who are into blockchains, who are into these kind of space. Okay. So what is the advantage of ICOs? It's easier as there is no regulatory process. No regulator can control this. This is all below the belt. It is all in the dark web, or not the dark web, but the gray web. It's cheaper. There is no intermediaries. It's faster as compared to conventional sources of finance, and you can have a global investor base. But then there are disadvantage of ICO. There is no regulations or governance. It's high risk from the point of view of investor and possible scams. Okay. So I think because in this particular article, the examiner has spoken a lot about initial coin offering, maybe the question might come that the company is a high-tech company, and in order to raise finance, it is considering the option of ICO, and then you might be asked to evaluate or recommend the option of ICO. So in 2 lines, you will first explain what an ICO is, and then you can give some advantage or disadvantage. Or maybe the company is thinking of investing in an ICO. So someone else is floating an ICO and the company is thinking of investing in an ICO product. So you must need to remember the pros and cons of ICO. So both these articles are pretty heavy duty. Okay. Because we are accountants, we are not technology people. We are always, our mind is used to the conventional or the traditional things, right? Or the physical things, because that's what we see all around for so many years. But this blockchain technology and cryptos are very out of box thinking. Maybe our mind might take a little bit of time to absorb it or understand it. So just don't get confused. Just I have actually summarized, all the article in very simple language, the definition, the pros and cons. So just remember these 4 or 5 slides, and you will be able to handle the case or the question in the exam. All right. How much time is left now? Oh my God, just 30 minutes. I need to speak. Okay, so let's move on. Pitfalls of CBE. So there are certain risks with the CBE software, and I just thought I will discuss these so that you are mentally prepared. Okay, so maybe the students who are giving manual paper, it might not be relevant to you, but it's still worth listening. All right, just maximum 5 minutes. So this is a list which I have developed based on actual feedbacks I got from students who gave SBL paper in July in a CBE environment. So few of the countries, they had CBE papers in July. So they face certain problems. So I thought it would be interesting if I share those practical issues with you so that you don't panic and you know exactly what to do and how to handle that situation, mentally prepared for anything which can go wrong on the exam day. First of all, two of my students said that their ID was rejected by the automatic facial recognition system. So when they logged in for their exam and they showed their ID, there was an AI a software which rejected their ID. It said that you are not the person. Your actual face is not matching with the ID which you are saying. So you are someone different. You are not Hassan Rasani. Shit, man. Can you imagine? I would panic if the system says you are not Hassan Rasani. Get lost. So in that scenario, what happened was that immediately one of the representative of that company, which is managing the tests, I'm forgetting the name, Pearson View. So immediately the one of the representative of Pearson View, he contacted, because there's a mic and a speaker on your laptop. So they appeared and they then physically checked your ID like on the screen and they allowed you. So, okay, so do not panic if your ID is rejected. Someone on the Pearson View will immediately find out or be notified that your ID has been rejected, and they will real time contact you, talk to you, and they will see your ID personally and authenticate you. Okay. Your system check then may show a red cross. So you will be asked to do a system check at the day of the exam, and there's a possibility that it might show a red cross on internet speed or microphone or webcam. Just rerun it again, refresh it again, and it will be fixed. And then few people said that the copy paste function from the mouse was not working most of the time. So if you use the mouse and then you click the icon of copy, and if you click the icon of paste, it was not working. So then use the keyboard, Control C, Control V. Okay, I personally use Control C, Control V, but many people they like pressing the icons. So if it doesn't work, use Control C and then Control V to paste. During the exam, the software can hang or some feature might not work. For example, the highlighter may not work in some of the exhibits. Maybe the table is not opening or being created. In that case, press refresh and it should be fine. Okay. And lastly, but don't panic on this one. The actual CBE exam software is slightly different from the CBE practice platform used by us. So you've been seeing this practice platform, right? We have been using all this. The actual CBE format is slightly different. Okay, don't panic, slightly different. What are the differences? The toolbar varies. Okay, so this is the toolbar which you will see. You don't see the toolbar here, something like this. Where is the toolbar? If I go to exhibit. Oh, so you see the toolbar here, or let me open a Word exhibit. So the toolbar is this on the top, this portion. Okay, so there in the real CBE software, there will be a hand. So if you want to move up and down through your mouse, either you can drag here, but you first need to press the hand button, and then you can scroll up and down. And then if you want to select a text, so right now I can move up and down easily. I can select like this, but in the real software, if you want to move, you have to press this hand first, and then if you want to select, you need to press this arrow first, and then your mouse will be able to select. It's not a big deal. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's just that you must, you just need to know about it, so that in the real exam, if you want to scroll, press the hand. If you want to select, press the arrow. If you want to paste into Excel spreadsheet, you need to do this, but as I said, no need to use Excel spreadsheet. So I suggest that you guys click here, and this article on ACCA website, it tells about all those minor differences between the practice platform and the real platform. I have picked up all these from that, and I've picked up the top 3 most important things. But if you want to just check, you can click here and go and see all the differences, but don't get panic, it's a small thing. Okay, but I just thought I'll let you guys know before you get a panic in the real exam. What do you think? Would it help you? We didn't use search option. Yes, fine. Refresh option. What do you want to know about refresh option? Refresh option is very simple. You go here and you press this round circle and it will refresh like this. You press refresh and the screen will load and you will be back refreshed. All right, I'm moving on. Recap. Now it's a recap. So all these techniques, I have discussed 5 main techniques in the 5 classes. So the first technique was linking with the exhibit. You will see this in detail discussed in day 1. The second technique, this was day 1, and then number of points was discussed in day 2. Because of lack of time, I'm skipping this because I want to discuss the more important things. This was discussed in day 3. This technique was discussed on day 4. You can go through this because this is all self-explanatory, and this was discussed today. Recap on the professional skills. Evaluation skills means that you must make sure that you give a balanced analysis, include both pros and cons. Analysis skills means that you investigate the reasons for variances from the exhibits. Communication skills means you give the format and keep the tone of your answer, keeping in mind the reader. Commercial acumen skill means that don't use financial or accounting terminologies, use business words. So all these 4, they don't really require uh, any significant extra effort. But skepticism skill, you have to be very careful. You have to be very conscious, very mindful. Whenever you are asked for skepticism skill, you need to adopt a negative tone. You have to say, this is not, I disagree, it's not correct, further investigate it. Okay, you adopt, if you're like, if you're identifying a weaknesses or if you are challenging someone, just be respectful, but adopt a a tone of negativity or challenging someone. We have done a question on that and a recap on the formats. We've all done this. Briefing paper and note should look like this. We have done several questions. Email will look like this. Again, a very simple thing, to, from, subject, date. Presentation slide will look like this. We just discussed everything today. A letter format will look like this. On the right top, it will be your name, your address. On the left side will be the addressee. There'll be a subject, respected chairman, an opening paragraph, and then. So have a look at the report format. It's letter format. It's pretty, standard and easy. So far in all the attempts, only one time, I can imagine, only one time a letter has come in the 5 or 7 attempts so far. Press release, we have solved it in one of the questions. A business case, if you're asked to prepare a business case, it just has 3 headings. You need to talk about current situation, 1 paragraph. You define the proposed option, 1 paragraph, and then you talk about the benefits, pros and cons of the proposed option, several paragraphs depending on the marks. Okay. And there's a project initiation document which we did yesterday. There are like 10-11 items. These are the standard items which I would expect to see on a project initiation document. We did that yesterday. In case of a weakness and recommendation question, tabular format, risk and mitigation factors, tabular format. We spoke about it several times. All right, so let me look at questions. All right, so this is all self-explanatory, so don't panic. Okay, I will share the handouts on Sunday. I can even share the handouts tonight. The videos will be shared on Sunday, all the 5 videos together. Okay, so now come to this thing. So this is the list of important topics. Okay, so please keep in mind that this is the list of important, this is not the list of questions, it is not a guess paper, it is not the list of questions which may come in the exam, because some people said that it's 10 models and 15 topics, that's too much. But this is not a guess paper. This list is just a list of the top 10 models which you should know and top 15 topics which you should know. So most of you students are lacking time. It's just like exams are 3 weeks away. So obviously you cannot study all the topics. You should not study all the topics simply because you don't have the time. You guys are late now. So from now on, you just read these 10 models and read these 15 topics. Nothing extra other than these. Okay, so what are the models which we're gonna do? We will talk about, we should do is pastel, porter, 5 forces. So let me highlight stuff which we have already covered. So you need to do pastel, porter, 5 forces, and strategic position. So in September webinar, I explained to you pastel, I explained to you strategic position, but we did not do porter 5 forces. But for porter 5 forces, you can always Google for my March 2020 webinar and day 2. Okay, day number 2, if you see the video of March 2020 webinar day 2, towards the end you will see porter 5 forces. So I would say that if you watch that video, then it is covered. SFA framework is very important, we've covered. Corporate parenting and BCG we have not covered. SWOT and TOES we have not covered. ANSOF not covered. Harmon not covered. Mendello not covered. Cultural web we have covered, not in this webinar, but in March 2020 webinar it's covered. I don't remember the day. Let me look at the day. Let me, culture was day 3. Okay, so culture was covered on day number 3 of March webinar. You can check out culture there. And then context of change and risk management, I think we briefly touched upon TARA model, transfer, avoid, reduce, etc. On the topics we've done, the financial ratios and projections we did, budget MIS we did, PIDs, projects, CSF we did not did, e-business we did not do because of lack of time, IT, cyber, big data, CRM, blockchain we did, professional we did, board, committees, integrated reporting, social, environmental, risk management, controls, we did all these, and we did not do this. So this, whatever we did not do, you need to do on your own. Whoever is there on my WhatsApp group, okay, listen carefully. Whoever is there on my WhatsApp group, my full notes, simplified notes are available on the group. You can download my full notes and you can go through these topics in those notes. Okay, please ignore the rest of the topics because those are full notes. Do not waste your time, but the topics which are here, and especially those which are not covered in my webinar, you can go do those topics from the notes. Stay away from the book, okay? Book is suicide because you don't have time, and book is very lengthy, very detailed. You guys should just focus on basic concepts. So just download the notes from my WhatsApp group, and you can do all these topics, whether we covered or we not covered. You can go through all these topics in a very simplified manner. Now, how will you find the notes in my WhatsApp group? If you click on the description, if you click on the description of the WhatsApp group, in the description, there is a link to a Google Drive. And in that Google Drive, all the past papers of P1 and P3, all the notes, all the handouts of March webinar is there. I will update the handouts this time, but you understand all this? Restrict yourself to 10 models and 15 topics because you don't have time. Let me look at questions. How can you join the WhatsApp group? Okay, I will give you my WhatsApp number. It's in the first slide and it's on the last slide. You just WhatsApp to me and I will add you to my group. What is the full form of CRM? Isn't it a bit late to ask such questions? CRM is Customer Relationship Management System. CRMs. It's a very important word. Will we fail if something comes outside this? Fazan, obviously, if something comes outside this and you don't know the topic, then if you're not able to do it, you will not fail. I don't know about fail, but obviously you will not get marks. But generally, I feel that SBL is easy. Even if you don't know a particular topic, you still can able to wriggle out and manage with a little bit of common sense, provided you have some common sense. If you know, SBL is all about linking with exhibits. All the answers are hidden in the exhibits. So even if you don't know the topic, you will be able to judge with little bit of common sense. Do we need to read any technical articles? Good question, Habib. No need to read any technical articles. Am I loud and clear? All the technical articles before blockchain and crypto are already covered in my notes and in my topics wherever applicable. Only blockchain and crypto was not covered in my notes, so I covered it specifically in today's webinar. Okay, it is my job to make your life easy. Okay, my job to make it simple, less and easy for you to prepare SBL. All you need to do is just focus on bare basics, focus on my techniques, do not overstudy, remain confident, target for that you just need to score 50 and you will score 60. Move on. List of practice questions. SBL is more about practice. So if you have time, then first you do 4 questions from P3. And the idea is just to give you basic concepts of some important topics, how to link your answer with the case, this and that. And if you have time, you can do 2 questions from P1. Okay, 2 questions from P1. It will give you an idea about the corporate governance type of questions, professional code of ethics, public interest, board committees, etc. So if you have time, so 4 questions from P3 and 2 questions from P1. These all 6 questions are 50-mark questions. All these papers are not available on ACCA website because these subjects have been discontinued, but these papers are available on the Google Drive on my WhatsApp. But if you don't have time, then skip it. But I would suggest that you take out time and do these questions because it will strengthen your foundation. Coming to SBL papers, you need to do at least 5 questions. Which one? Specimen 2, you need to do specimen 3, September 18, December 18, and March 20. These 5 questions you must do. Not verbally, not mentally, not in your dreams, not in your imagination, but in proper solving with proper end to end, start to finish, 4 hours time management. You have to do this proper physically. So manual students will do it on a physical paper, and online students will do either on the platform or use a Word document to copy paste and draft your answer. But you have to do these 5 questions properly under time management. And after this, you should do a mock. Mock means that, do these 2 questions for mock. Mock will be that you will create a proper exam situation in your home, no breaks, no nothing, and you must do a proper mock. Students who do not do mocks stand a very less chance to pass. And it is my experience that those students who have given at least 2 mocks under exam condition, their chances of passing is very, very high. So when mocks is done, when you do a proper mock under exam condition, it's very important that a teacher or a mentor, they check your mock, they give you marks, and they give you your strengths and weaknesses and what things you must focus on. Someone needs to assess your mocks and give you feedback. That's the purpose of a proper mock under exam condition. Okay, so those of you who have a teacher or have a mentor, you can submit their mocks to that to your mock to that teacher and get your marks and detailed feedback. Otherwise, I also offer a mock facility whereby I in my mock, it's a paid session. It's not a free session. But in my mock, I demonstrate to them 2 questions, how to solve so that they understand, and the rest 3 they do. And after that, I ask them to do these 2 questions under proper exam conditions, and they need to submit their mocks to me, and I do a very thorough assessment of the answers. I give them marks along with feedbacks so that they can work and focus on. But it will be a paid session, and I will provide details about it, the timings, the cost, and everything on the WhatsApp groups. Okay, so it's not a compulsory for you, it's an optional thing. You don't need to take mock from me, you can take mock from anyone. Make sure that that person is able to check and give you feedback. Okay. So I think this brings me to the last leg of what's the time? Okay, 10, 20, 11, 24, 6 more minutes. This brings me to the last leg. What to do in the last 3 weeks? What should be your study plan? Now, what you need to do? Okay. First of all, you need to understand that you just have 3 weeks. And 3 weeks is not sufficient. Okay. But what's done is done. We cannot control it. It is beyond our control. We just have 3 weeks, whether you like it or you don't like it. So since time is less, you should not work hard. You need to work smarter. I don't want you to work hard. I want you to work smart. Okay, so you need to be selective. You need to be smart. You need to be, cunning in order to pass SBL in 3 weeks. So first thing, watch my September 2020 webinar. This is more applicable for students who are on self-study. So I have my own batch of, I have several batches of students. So, you know, this approach is not maybe for them because they did a very detailed course with me. So this approach is more suitable for self-students approach, self-studying students. Okay. So uh, watch September 2020 webinar if you are giving a CBE paper, or you watch March 2020 webinar if you're doing a manual paper, because in March I had solved all the papers using manual techniques. Okay, that's the first thing you do. After you watch the webinar, you revise the 10 models and the 15 topics as per the list which I have given. You can download my notes. They have not changed from the March attempt, they are the same. So if you have already downloaded it in March or somewhere after March, you don't need to download again. Just revise those 10 models and 15 topics from the notes. Do not revise anything extra because you are struggling with time. Then you do the 7 case studies from P1 and P3. So I believe it was 5 questions from P3 and 2 from P1, just to build your basic concepts if you have time. And I have already given the list of these questions in one of the slides above. After that, you will do 5 SBL questions in writing with time management. I have given you the list. Okay. And then the ultimate test, ultimate thing which you need to do is do 2 mocks, and prefer these 2 questions. I don't want very easy questions in the mock. Similarly, I don't want very complicated questions in the mock. I just want the mock to be a balanced, reasonable mock so that you're able to assess yourself in a reasonable environment. Okay, so you need to do these 2 mocks. Optional, you can join my mock based practice session for September. It's a private session. I would cover these mocks. I would cover the smaller topics which were all missing. So everything will be there. So I would be announcing it, the details maximum by Sunday, so that you can join by Monday and you can start availing the online videos and everything there. Right. So what you should not do, what you should not do, don't read the books, forget about the book. Okay, no revision kit. If I see someone on my WhatsApp group asking for revision kit, or if someone can share a revision kit, I will, you know what, okay, I will shoot that person. Okay, the reason I'm saying stay away from revision kit is it's not good. Okay, the questions are quite far off from the real questions of SBL, and more importantly, the answers, the suggested answers are so confusing that students, their confidence is shattered. And so then what do we do? Where do we do the practice from? That is why I picked up some hand-picked questions from P1 and P3. Okay, so instead of mock, we do 7 questions, hand-picked questions from P1 and P3, and it is as good, as much better than kits. Stay away from models other than the 10 which I mentioned, and stay away from all the technical articles because I've already covered, except for blockchain and crypto, which was covered today. So my main message to you guys is, please do not overstudy. Instead, you need to do over practice. SBL is about practice. SBL is not about studying, it's about practice. With that, guys, a lot of good luck to you. You guys are intelligent. Okay, if you have reached this far, if you are giving SBL, which is one of the core and the last papers, you are not dumb. So please, just you need to be smarter, be very focused, very target oriented. Do not do everything which you hear on internet. Do not do everything which you hear from other groups. Now you need to close yourself. You just follow one mentor, one teacher, and just follow the guidelines. If you expand your horizon and you listen to all other teachers, all other books, all other materials on other WhatsApp group or YouTube, you will just, expand everything beyond control. You don't have time for these things now. So just don't overstudy, be smart, and just practice. So my throat is now giving up on the fifth day. Um, I've tried to answer all the questions, and because we don't have a lot of time, it's already time up. If I'm not able to answer any of your questions from today, from tonight, or if you come up with any further questions, what you need to do is you need to join my WhatsApp group. Okay, and then there you can ask questions. Either me or some other fellow student can help you with that. How you can add, please, this is my WhatsApp number. Let me check. 971555245. Yeah, that's correct. So that's, please send me a message and I will automatically add you to my WhatsApp group. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would bid you a million good luck, and I hope to hear from you. And if I can be of any help on the WhatsApp group, it would be my pleasure, and I would be delighted to guide you and help you in any manner I would, I would deem fit. And with that, I wish you all the best. And guys, thank you for attending the webinar. And if you come across any friends who have missed the webinar, please just share my WhatsApp number with them. I will add them to the group and they can actually avail your little bit of help. And with that, you guys take care and good night.